Namaskar, Adab, Vanakkam, hello. This is Dr. Niraj Mehta, Principal, Professor and Head, Agat Tantra Department, Murlidhar Ayurved College, Kadipat, Rajkot. Today we are going to learn regarding response and containment measures of COVID-19, novel coronavirus 2019. In January 2020, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak of a new coronavirus disease in Hubei province of China to be a public health emergency of international concern. Since then, WHO has declared it as a pandemic affecting more than 115 countries around the globe. India has seen its first COVID-19 case in Kerala on 30th of January 2020. With cases rising steadily, all sections of our society must play a role if we are to stop the spread of this disease, and the frontline health worker has the responsibility, the reach and the influence within the community. UNICEF and WHO are supporting the government of India in taking action to contain the COVID-19 outbreak. Now, who should use this toolkit? The training module should be used by the designated COVID-19 trainers like me. I am your master trainer, with the youth groups that they are working with, like yourself and our students. These could be the youth volunteers and NSS of NYKS, Social Emergency Response Volunteers, SERVs of Indian Red Cross Society, Ayush students and interns from Ayush colleges, or the youth wing of the Armed Forces, the National Cadet Corps NCC. Together, this team will be known as COVID Warriors. This module can be used in a standalone training of 1.5 hours or as part of a larger training. Let us start it. Welcome to the session 1, Communication for Response and Containment Measures. Session objectives are: participants, yourself, will be able to recall role of the COVID warriors or Ayush students on COVID-19. COVID warriors, we all are COVID warriors, but especially our students, Ayush students, are going for the specific work. So, what is their role? We will recall that, and secondly, participants will be able to explain what is COVID-19 and who should test. So in the upcoming 7 sessions, what are we going to learn? First session, role of COVID warriors, Ayush students. That talks about the role of COVID warriors plays and what he or she needs to understand about COVID-19. Second session will be information to the community, that talks about the information and knowledge that the COVID warriors students will give to the community on hand washing, respiratory hygiene, social distancing and HRG. Third session, community surveillance. Session discusses the contact tracing protocol, how to identify the contact, what are the guidelines for the supporting people who are suspected, symptomatic or asymptomatic cases. Now, fourth session will be stigma and discrimination. This is very important session. It deals with the myths and misconceptions around coronavirus and many fears that result in stigmatizing behavior at various levels. What is the role of the COVID warrior and what he or she can do? So this is very important. Then Fifth session is supportive public health services, community and HH. What is the role of that community networks play in addressing COVID in the community? What are the services required? What should be home care, home quarantine in urban and rural areas? Then comes the sixth session. It is on personal safety. COVID warriors will work to reach out the message to thousands of directly or indirectly affected community members. However, they also need to take care of their own personal safety. This is must. So, what is the role of COVID warriors here? As per the job outlined by district collector or CMO or surveillance officer, they would support Ayush doctors, supervisor or lady health supervisor in house-to-house surveillance, including identification of HRGs, probable cases and early reporting, so that we can provide the corona outburst. Provide psychosocial care and stigma and discrimination, and community awareness through interpersonal communication. They promote preventive and control measures including social distancing, home care and home quarantine. Addressing myths and misconceptions, reporting and feedbacks. And last but not the least, पर्सनल सेफ्टी एंड प्रिकॉशंस इज मस्ट. सो सबसे पहले हाउस टू हाउस सर्वेलेंस में उन्हें प्रोबेबल केसेस को अलग करना है और अर्ली रिपोर्टिंग करना है. स्टिग्मा और डिस्क्रिमिनेशन से साइको सोशल केयर करना है उन सब का. और सेकेंडली प्रिवेंटिव और कंट्रोल मेजर्स के द्वारा सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग, होम केयर, होम क्वारंटाइन, उसके बारे में उनको समझाना है. मिथ्स और कंसेप्शंस जो भी है उनके बारे में भी उनको समझाना है. आखिर में वो रिपोर्ट करना है, उनका फीडबैक लेना है. और सबसे आगे जो चीज है वो है पर्सनल सेफ्टी. खुद का बहुत ही ध्यान रखना है, बहुत ही केयर करना है, प्रिकॉशंस रखना है. So above all, there will be district collector. Then below that, district Ayush medical officer. In our district Rajkot, it is Dr. Bhanu Mehta. Below that, Ayush college principals, institutional heads and master trainers like me and Bhargav sir. And below that, Ayush students, field level workers, our NSS students and our all students. Now let us start the second session. It is prevention, safe practices in the community like hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, social distancing and high risk group. What is the learning outcome of this session? Participants will be able to explain prevention practices in the community and households. Participants will be able to give a checklist of preventive actions to be taken at home and in public places to avoid spread of COVID-19. So first we need to understand about COVID-19 and what are the common symptoms of it. So COVID-19 is a coronavirus disease 2019. It is caused by coronavirus named as SARS-CoV-2, means severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. The symptoms of COVID-19 are fever, cough and difficulty in breathing. This is very peculiar symptoms, and if you have these and you are a contact of a laboratory confirmed positive case, immediately call the state helpline number or Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India 24/7 helpline 011 2397 8046 or 1075 or your ASHA worker or ANM. So what are the modes of transmission? Sneezing, coughing by infected person would leave infected droplets. Those infected droplets get on your hand, and when touch any surface or person, the virus is transferred to that person. Sneezing or coughing by infected person, the droplets are on the baggage, on any handle, any type of substance which is used by one and another letter. Infected droplets get on another's hand and virus is transferred. So the foremost thing is hand hygiene for prevention. What to do? Hand hygiene is a way of cleaning one's hands that substantially reduces potential pathogens on the hands, harmful germs on the hands. Hand hygiene procedures include hand washing with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or use of 70% alcohol-based hand rubs. What are the do's and don'ts? Wash your hands often with soap and water for 20 seconds, especially after you have been in a public place or after blowing your nose or after coughing or sneezing. Use a hand sanitizer which contains at least 70% of alcohol. If soap and water is not available, cover all surfaces of your hands and rub them together until they feel dry. You can see for the YouTube video for what is the process of hand wash when you cover all the surfaces of your hand. What are the don'ts? Don't touch your eyes, nose and mouth with unwashed hands. Touch surfaces like doorknobs, doorbells, elevator buttons, handrails, support handles, chair backs, ATM surfaces, mobiles and jeep handles. These are don'ts. You must not touch these surfaces, or if you have touched, you frequently wash your hand and don't touch your eyes, nose and mouth after touching anything around you. So why they are saying frequent hand wash? Because you are going outside, or you are, even if you are not going outside, some things which are still running due to this lockdown period are the vegetable sellers, milkmen, etc. So you are coming in contact by anyhow with any person. So vegetables are coming from outside, milkman comes from outside, and your vessels, he will touch your vessel, then you will touch the vessel. So after that, what you should do, you should wash your hand. So frequent hand washing will prevent any germ by any mistake if comes to your um, household. You can avoid it. Okay. Now respiratory hygiene. It is a combination of measures taken to stop the spread of germs through respiratory behaviors like coughing or sneezing. What are the do's and don'ts? Do use a handkerchief or a tissue to cover your face while coughing or sneezing. Do throw the used tissue immediately into the closed dustbin. Do cover your sneeze into your bent up your arm in case you are not carrying a tissue or kerchief. There is a video regarding this. I will send it to you. Do wash hands immediately after you have covered your sneeze or cough. So frequent hand washing here, it is also important. What are the don'ts? Don't use other ways of covering your face like the pallu, sari, chunni or gamcha, because that will transfer the germs to other. Do not spit in the open. Always use a spittoon or wash basin for spitting. Don't spit in open. Now there is a case study. Smita has gone out to buy vegetables. She has a sore throat and is often coughing without covering her face. You are in the shop when she comes and suddenly she has a fit of cough. Everyone instantly moves away from her and the shopkeeper says angrily, "Don't come into my shop if you are coughing." Question 1 is, if you were there as a customer, what would you have done? Question 2 is, if you were the shopkeeper, what would you have done? Question 3 is, as an COVID warrior, what would be your advice or counsel? Yes, it is good for people to move away and keep a distance. As a fellow customer, give a polite advice to follow correct respiratory hygiene. Means you should tell her that please cover your mouth while you are coughing. It is wrong for the shopkeeper to have shouted on Smita. Though everyone is scared, being rude is not helpful. He should suggest like the COVID warrior will do. As an Ayush student, what should your job? You should counsel Smita that she must cover her face with a handkerchief when coughing. Suggest her to get medication at a PHC. Counsel the shopkeeper that anyone can have a cough and it need not to be a COVID-19 infection. It has peculiar symptoms and it is not COVID-19. Shopkeeper can also counsel people on respiratory hygiene. So as an COVID warrior, you should do these all things. Now, prevention, social distancing. What is it? It is deliberately increasing the physical space between people to avoid spreading illness, and staying at least 1 meter away from other people lessens your chance of catching COVID-19. Why? Because it is not airborne virus. So uh, you are far enough to reach of their sneeze or cough, then it is fine. What are the do's and don'ts? Stay home unless absolutely necessary. Keep a distance of at least 1 meter between yourself and another person. And what are the don'ts? Don't hold events where people have to gather, even if it is a corner meeting with 3 or 4 friends. Why 144 is there? The same reason. Or an evening chat on the chopal. Do not go to crowded places like markets, shopping, melas and parties. Do not use public transport. This is very important things for social distancing. If you are using public transport, you must be 1 meter away from another one. And in this condition during lockdown, it is not available, not advisable to use public transport. Now identify the high risk group. That are people who are at a higher risk from severe illness if they could get COVID-19. And what it is include? It includes older adults which are having age more than 45, people who have underlying medical conditions like heart disease, diabetes, lung disease, kidney disease, or they are on cancer medication. They are high risk group. And third high risk group is pregnant women, as we do not know the impact of the disease on pregnancy as of yet. It is better to take care. We are not having any knowledge about impact of this disease on pregnancy, so prevention is better than cure. Welcome to session 3. Session 3 is about community surveillance. It includes type of contacts, community surveillance, SOP, advisory and communication. So what is the learning outcome? Participants will be able to explain who is a suspect and who is a contact. Suspect and contact, we must differentiate both of them. Participant will be able to list the types of contacts and their risk levels. Participant will be clear on giving information on services that are provided for symptomatic and asymptomatic cases. Definitions. Suspect or probable infected person. A person with acute respiratory illness, fever, and at least one sign or symptom of respiratory disease like cough or shortness of breath, and a history of travel to or residence in a country or area or territory reporting local transmission of COVID-19 disease during the 14 days prior to symptom onset, or a person with any acute respiratory illness and having been in contact with a confirmed COVID-19 case in the last 14 days prior to onset of symptoms, or a person with severe acute respiratory infection, fever, and at least one sign of respiratory disease and requiring hospitalization and with no other etiology that fully explain the clinical presentation, or a case for whom testing for COVID-19 is unconclusive. So these all are suspect or probable infected person. Now, who is a contact? Contact is a person who is involved in any of the following. First, providing direct care without proper personal protective equipment (PPE) for COVID-19 patients, without mask, without gloves, if he is handling any COVID-19 patient. Second, staying in the same close environment of a COVID-19 patient, including workplace, classroom, household, or gatherings. Third, traveling together in close proximity that is less than 1 meter with a symptomatic person who later tested positive for COVID-19. So this is called contact, and so you know the definition of suspect and contact, and you know the difference between them. Now there are two types of contacts. One is high risk, second is low risk. High risk is that touched body fluids of the patient, respiratory tract secretions, blood, vomit, saliva, urine, or feces, either of that, uh, had direct physical contact with the body of the patient, shook hands, hugged, or took care of, touch or clean the linen, clothes, or dishes of the patient, lived in the same household as the patient. Anyone in close proximity, whenever I say close proximity, it should be less than 1 meter of the confirmed case without precautions. Without precautions. Passenger traveling in close proximity for more than 6 hours with a symptomatic person who later tested positive for COVID-19. These all are high risk contacts, and who are low risk contacts, who share the same space, same class for school or workplace, in the same room or similar, and not having a high risk exposure like previously discussed to confirmed or suspect case of COVID-19, who traveled in same environment, bus, train, flight, or any mode of transit, but not having a high risk exposure, which previously discussed. Now, how the community-based surveillance will work. ARI surveillance in the cluster containment zone. The containment zone will be divided into sectors with 50 houses each. In difficult areas, it would be 30 houses. Now, supervisory officers like medical officers or IHV in the containment zone in a ratio of 1:4. The district collector or district magistrate will be nodal person for cluster containment in their respective district. Daily house-to-house visit by COVID warriors in the earmarked sector should be done. Search clinically suspect cases. Ask for developing any symptoms like fever, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty in breathing in last 14 days. Ask for any contact with COVID-19 confirmed case. Ask for travel to any COVID affected country or area or within country in last 14 days. In continuation to community based surveillance, maintain line list of suspect or confirmed cases and contacts. Inform supervisory medical officer about suspect case and contacts. After confirming symptoms, immediately call the ambulance and ensure transfer of the patient to identified hospital after ensuring on the basic precautions. Create awareness among community about disease prevention, home quarantine, common signs and symptoms, and need for reporting suspect cases by distributing flyers, pamphlets, and also by interpersonal communication. So these COVID warrior have to do in community-based surveillance. Now, how he will trace the contact? Surveillance done by visiting the local residence of the contact by a health personnel telephone may be used in certain circumstances or for follow-up. Introduce yourself, explain purpose of surveillance, collect data in prescribed format. Contacts of confirmed case traced and monitored daily for at least 28 days after the last exposure to the case patient of evidence of COVID-19 symptoms as per case definition. Information about contacts can be obtained from patient or his or her family members or persons at patient's workplace or school associate or other with knowledge about the patient's recent activities and travels. If you find out the contact, what is the advisory for contact? If contact is asymptomatic, then home quarantine for 14 days after the last exposure with the case. Initiate self-health monitoring for development of fever or cough. Active monitoring like daily visits or telephone calls for 28 days after the last exposure shall be done by COVID warriors. Direct and high-risk contacts of a confirmed case should be tested once between day 5 and day 14 of coming in his or her contact. If it is asymptomatic, then you should do this. If it is symptomatic, then symptoms develop fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, use mask, self-isolate, and immediately inform ANM or ASHA worker or COVID warriors, the identified local health official by telephone. Now, here is one more case scenario. Sunil is a young man of 30 years. He works in Mumbai as a teacher in a small school and has returned back home for Holi. Sunil has been confirmed with COVID-19 and now his family is worried. Question: what will you do? You should ensure that all members of the family have been given the advice to follow up if any help needed, organize for the families to have support when they are on quarantine for getting their daily supplies like groceries or vegetables, check on hand hygiene and respiratory hygiene understanding, check if all clothes and household materials used by confirmed family member have been disinfected or not. Talk to the family often, even if only on the mobile, and encourage other friends of the family to talk on the phone. This is to help them manage the feeling of being isolated. Welcome to the session 4, Supportive Public Health Services Community Households. In this session, how to create supportive environment, how to home quarantine self, how to home quarantine family members, and what is the home care. Learning outcome will be participants will be able to understand how to create community support for COVID-19. Participants will understand and be able to give information on services to be provided for home care and home quarantine for suspected cases and family members. Response and containment create a supportive environment. Talk to and involve influencers, fight discrimination. Make a list of local influencers, Gram Pradhan, religious leaders, teachers, or any other. These are the local level celebrities, so they can influence. Explain and discuss the situation and protocols or orders or notifications to be followed and seek their support in giving key messages. Identify community networks and keep them ready with information. Second one, plan community support for high risk. Make a list of high risk groups in the village, identify people they meet or talk to, share preventive measures with these people, and request them to keep communicating these measures to the high risk people. Take care of older people or people with comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, lung or kidney disease, or taking any cancer supplement. Take care of children whose parents may be in quarantine for issues of education and or care. Thirdly, coordinate with the existing community networks for support. Coordinate with ASHA worker, ANM on the roles assigned for emergency planning. Distribution of services like food or grocery delivery for quarantined household, midday meals, medicines, etc. Share emergency contact details as directed. Share coordinating details of child protection communities for addressing issues of trauma and violence in children. Help develop household emergency contact list. Ensure each household has a current list of emergency contacts for family, friends, neighbors, essential services, contact numbers like food, medicines, medical help, etc. Babulal has been renting out his tractor for the last several years and many people know him in the community. Recently, people have stopped taking Babulal's tractors on rent, and you come to know that this is because Babulal has been having symptoms of cold and flu. When you speak with Babulal, he tells you that when he is walking, people cross over on the other side of the street and do not even talk to him or his family members, including his children, even on the phone. He has decided to go to his city house so he does not have to bear this behavior. Question 1 is this the right thing to do? Or question 2, what will you do as a COVID warrior? So here comes the role of an influencer. Check who can help in influencing the local landowners. Use the key influencers in giving the communication on what is COVID-19 and what are the symptoms. Talk to the ASHA or ANM for discussing the symptoms of COVID-19 with Babulal, and if he is a contact with, what advisory should be given to him. These are the guidelines for home quarantine. Stay safe for probable infected person, restricted movement for COVID-19 suspects. First of all, keep distance. Stay in a well-ventilated, specific room and away from other people in your home. Restrict movements. If available, use a separate bathroom. Avoid visitors in a house if you are infected. You can spread infection to others. Seek health care and notify if you have fever, cough and breathing difficulty and suspecting contact. Wear a mask and immediately notify nearest health facility. Avoid going to public areas. Avoid using public transport. Do not go to markets, schools or other public areas. So isolate yourself and wear a mask correctly when you are around other people. Wear a mask when you are visiting the health facility. So these are the guidelines for probable infected person and how he should home quarantine himself. Home care. Keep environment safe. Precautions to be taken by the household where there is a suspected case. Support. Wash hands and clean and disinfect. Support. Assign family member to take care of infected person, helping them follow doctor's instruction for medication and care. Wash hands with soap and water at least for 20 seconds, and frequent hand washing is necessary. If you are not having soap and water, clean your hands with 70% alcohol based hand sanitizer. Wash often and especially after touching. High touch surfaces such as tabletops, doorknobs, bathroom fixtures, toilets, phones are every day cleaned and disinfected. Also, wipe any surface that may have blood, stool or body fluids on them. Using bleaching powder solution, 4 teaspoons of household bleach in 4 cups of water would be enough. Wash laundry thoroughly and avoid shaking soiled linen. Immediately remove and wash clothes or bedding that have blood, stool or body fluids on them. Keep away from body. Wash and disinfect linen in warm water and soap. Dry in sun. Washing machine. Use disinfectant. Soap. Warm water. Dry in sun. Linen can be soaked in hot water and soap in a large drum using a stick and to stir. Avoiding splashing. Soak linen in 1% chlorine for approximately 30 minutes. Finally, rinse with clean water and let linen dry fully in the sunlight. Place all used disposable gloves, face mask and other contaminated items in a lined container before disposing of them with other household waste. Note: infected person may be ambulatory or bedridden. So these or all home care is necessary when you are having an infected person in your house. So as a COVID warrior, you have to mention all these things in community, and you have to convince them to do so to prevent more corona outbreak. Home quarantine. Stay safe for family members. Household members should stay in another room or be separated from the patient as much as possible. Household members should use a separate bedroom and bathroom if available. Avoid sharing household items like dishes, drinking glasses, cups, eating utensils, towels, bedding, or other items with other people at home. Wash hands as often thoroughly with soap and water for 20 seconds and or with 70% alcohol based hand sanitizer. With and contact with a person who is quarantined, the family member should wear a 3-layered mask at all the times. Disposable masks are never to be reused. Once used, you immediately dispose the mask. Used mask should be considered as potentially infected. Dispose mask by soaking in home bleach solution and then throwing it dustbin. Do not let small children play with the mask. In continuation to community-based surveillance, maintain line list of suspect or confirmed cases and contacts. Inform supervisory medical officer about suspect case and contacts. After confirming symptoms, so learning outcome will be participants will be able to define stigma and understand why COVID-19 poses a stigma in society. Participants will know how stigma affects their work and what they can do to address it. What is stigma? In any epidemic, it is common for individuals to feel stressed and worried because they fear of falling ill and dying, avoiding approaching health facilities due to fear of becoming infected while in care, fear of losing livelihood, not being able to work during isolation and of being dismissed from work, fear of being socially excluded or placed in quarantine because of being associated with the disease, feeling powerless in protecting loved ones and fear of losing loved ones because of the virus or being separated during quarantine, feeling of helplessness, boredom, loneliness, and depression due to being isolated and not working towards caring for the dependent. Stress is caused due to the above fears and being treated as an outcast, or blamed for spreading the disease. So, new cast COVID-19 is added. Why there is stigma? The level of stigma associated with COVID-19 is based on three main factors. First is COVID-19 is a new disease. We don't know exactly about COVID-19 still, about which many things are still being discovered. Secondly, when something is unknown to people, people are worried, which leads to fear. Third, rumors or fake news gives wrong information and spreads the fear. Recognizing stigma. Four scenarios are there. First one, you are in a grocery shop. There are several people who are wearing a mask. You see Babula, the storekeeper, store owner, going red in his face as he tries to suppress a cough. Another scenario, Sukhram has come back from Pune. He works as a taxi driver, stay in joint family, and you have taken his contact history as advised by your supervisor. You come to know that Sukhram's family members have asked him to leave the house. Beauty works in Delhi as a housemaid. Recently, she has come back and you have been told that Beauty's employers have asked her to leave as she had a cold. And last, Surali is a young girl of 11 years. She and her 8-year-old brother are staying with an aunt as their parents have been asked to go in for isolation. Surali's aunt keeps on complaining you that the children are a big burden on the family's resources. What will you feel like if you were Babulal, Rani, Sukhram or Beauty? The stigma. Babulal has simple cough, but he is too scared to cough in front of people as he will lose the customers. The fear. Sukhram needs family support to help him stay in isolation. If everyone takes proper precautions, the infection need not spread. Beauty has a seasonal cold, but she has been asked to leave by her employers. Surali and her brother are two small children who need to be supported, and this kind of incidents can cause mental stress even in the future. CPC should be approached for appropriate measures for helping children in difficult situations to avoid this mental trauma. So these situations suggest that due to fear and fear of getting COVID-19, people do this type of work, and they do stigmatize and neglect other persons who are not having COVID-19, but they think that they will get COVID-19. So this stigmatization must not be done, and we have to stop it as a COVID warrior, as an NSS volunteer. What does stigma do? Stigma makes people hide their problems. Stigma keeps people away from accessing health services and seeking help. Stigma discourages them and may at times prevent them from adopting healthy behaviors. What can the COVID warrior do? COVID warrior can sensitize people and help them to understand that it is a simple infection and 80% of the cases are mild cases. Make special efforts to reach out to high-risk groups, including senior citizens and younger children. Ask people to stay away from watching negative things on TV and also fake news. Guide WhatsApp groups to help in giving hope and positive news to help people handle stress. Recently, I have got a message on WhatsApp that in जामनगर में कोरोना का कहर, पहला केस पॉजिटिव। तो सोचो जरा कि सिर्फ एक केस पॉजिटिव आने से ये कोरोना का कहर क्या है। ये इस तरह से लोग इतना स्ट्रेस फैलाते हैं, इतना ये करते हैं। तो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में सबको गाइड करना चाहिए और पीपल को पॉजिटिव चीजें फैलाना चाहिए जिससे स्ट्रेस हैंडल करना लोग सीखें। Advise people to engage in relaxing activities like indoor games. You can play chess, ludo, carom, and many board games are there. You can play that. You can reading, gardening, home cleaning, etc. દિવાળીનું કામ અત્યારે કાઢી નખાય, દિવાળી કા કામ अभी से कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। Engage community influencers. Share correct information on COVID-19 with them. Brief them on specific support required by you. जो इन्फ्लुएंसर्स हैं, जो भी हमारे समाज में जितने भी हमारे छोटे भी जो सेलिब्रिटीज हैं जिनकी लोग बात मानते हैं, उनसे करेक्ट इंफॉर्मेशन से शेयर करनी चाहिए और आपको जो सपोर्ट चाहिए वो उनको बताना चाहिए। पब्लिकली use terms like people who have COVID-19 instead of COVID-19 cases. Don't tell them they are victims or they are COVID-19 case. Tell that they are having COVID-19. So this is a little victims or COVID cases will be very rude. Similarly, use terms like people who may have COVID-19 instead of suspected cases. Emphasize that most people do recover from COVID-19. As all you were might be knowing that the mortality rate is nearly 2%. Okay, so it is very good thing, no? People are getting cured. People are treated in hospitals and they are getting cured and out from corona right now. Many of them. Amplify the good news about local people who have recovered from COVID-19 or supported a loved one through recovery. So this thing you should share and you should promote other people to promote this type of activity. So here is a case from quickly. What can COVID warriors do? Suresh was under home quarantine when his wife developed labor pains. The Asha took her to the hospital for delivery. She assured Suresh that his wife will be taken care of while he should remain isolated within the house as advised. The Asha worker called the COVID warrior and requested him to support Suresh. She reminded him to take precautions while giving food. She then called the convener of local mothers group and a member of village health and nutrition committee member and apprised both of them of the situation, requesting them to arrange for Suresh food and home care requirements. The VHSNC member requested the COVID warriors for help to support Suresh at least for next 72 hours till his wife returns. What are the positive actions taken by Asha? Asha has proactively formed community support groups and planned in case of emergency. That is a very good thing done by her. What should be done? She informed her neighbor to give food and COVID warriors for help in supporting. Which groups and or people were involved by Asha to provide supportive environment? The youth volunteer and VHSNC. If you were the Asha, what would you have done additionally? So this you have to think and tell me in the comments. Hello and welcome to session number 6, communication and personal safety. Very important session it is. Now when we are talking about communication and personal safety, you must aware what to communicate, right or wrong, how to communicate, how to manage a mask, and what precautions to be taken by yourself, personal safety. Participants will be able to list what to communicate and how to communicate. Participants will demonstrate self-protection measures. Participants will be able to prepare a checklist of safety measures to be taken during home visits and contact tracing procedures. What to communicate and communication platforms. You have to communicate hand hygiene, that wash your hand for 20 seconds with soap and water. Respiratory hygiene, take proper care when sneezing and coughing. Use handkerchief or use your lateral side of the shoulder. Social distancing, about 1 meter distance minimum should be maintained. Home care and home quarantine, that we have discussed in previous sessions, and monitoring the symptoms. If you are having slightest of any of the symptom, you must take care of that so that you cannot develop any other further symptoms. Share mobile episodes, display IEC materials at appropriate places, use essential services like garbage collection vans, milk supply, etc. for miking. Share WhatsApp messages on groups, but only positive and informative messages. Use pocketbook for giving key messages. Now we are having a pocketbook of 5, which I will share you after I am sharing this presentation. So I will share with you the pocketbook, and you have to read that. There will be a repetition of what we have discussed in these sessions, but you will be aware, and if you are forgetting something, you can have a quick guide with you. Okay, that is why. Next, how to communicate. Always be polite. Anyone can get the infection. Do not discriminate, shout, or use rude language. Stigma, you don't have to stigmatize, you don't have to discriminate. Be polite. Be aware that suspected and confirmed cases and any visitors accompanying them may be stressed or afraid naturally. So the most important thing you can do is to listen carefully to questions and concerns and answer them if possible. If not possible, then connect to your upper line. When you meet people, avoid touching or direct physical contact. Use namaste in spite of handshake. This is true for passing on infection either way. Maintain distance of more than 1 meter when you interact. Be very specific with your questions and confirm that they have understood you. Do not preach or give news that is not confirmed by your immediate supervisor or ASHA or ANM. If there are questions and you have the answers, you must share this with the community member. However, if you do not have the answer, do not hesitate to say so. A lot is still unknown about COVID-19. Now the mask management. Use the mask correctly. Use a mask. First of all, when the mask should be used. Only when you develop fever, cough or difficulty in breathing, or you are visiting a healthcare facility, or you are caring of for an ill person, or when contact tracing is going on. And how to use the mask? First of all, unfold the lips facing down, place over nose, mouth and chin, fit nose piece over nose bridge, tie strings, upper string tied top of head above ears, lower string in the back of the neck, and if your mask is having like a rubber band like structure, then it should be behind your ears. Leave no gaps on either side of the mask. Adjust to fit. This is must, because जहाँ पे जगह मिली कोरोना घुस जाए. Do not pull the mask down or hang from the neck. We have seen many people मास्क तो पहना हुआ है लेकिन वो गले पे लटक रहा है या तो नाक के नीचे लटक रहा है. इस तरह से करते हैं तो इसका कोई मतलब नहीं रह जाता. तो मास्क का कोई फिर रोल ही नहीं है. फिर आप मास्क पहनते ही क्यों? अवॉइड टचिंग द मास्क व्हाइल इन यूज. हाथ से उसको टच नहीं करना है. जब निकालना है तो उसको उसकी डोरी से पकड़नी है. Replace mask with new clean dry mask as soon as they become damp or humid. 6 to 8 hours to be precise. So मास्क को भीगा हुआ अगर आपको मालूम हो तो उसको तुरंत आपको बदलना है. रिमूविंग एंड डिस्पोजिंग द मास्क. उसकी टेक्निक क्या है? डू नॉट रीयूज सिंगल यूज मास्क. जो भी सिंगल यूज मास्क है उसको रीयूज मत कीजिए. डू नॉट टच अदर सरफेसेस ऑफ द मास्क व्हाइल रिमूविंग. मैंने जैसे कहा सिर्फ डोरी को पकड़ना है. टू रिमूव मास्क फर्स्ट अनटाई द स्ट्रिंग बिलो एंड देन string above and handle the mask using upper strings. Other surfaces may be potentially contaminated. Remove the mask by using appropriate technique, like do not touch in the front but remove the lace from behind, as I have prior said. After removal of whenever you inadvertently touch a used mask, clean hands by washing with soap and water for 20 seconds. I know you are knowing this, but then too I would like to repeat. Or use 70% alcohol-based hand rub. Discard single-use mask after each use and dispose of them immediately upon removal. Precautions and safety measures for Ayush students. When moving around in the community, maintain distance of at least 1 meter with the people. When you are communicating, use a 3-layered mask to cover your face. Make sure it is properly worn while contact tracing. Avoid touching your face, eyes, nose or mouth all times. Wash your hands with soap and water frequently or use alcohol-based hand rub. Yes, 70% alcohol-based hand rub. Avoid touching or direct physical contact. Immediately on reaching home. Now, when you are moving to any community and when you are coming home, what you have to do is carefully remove and dispose of your face mask by soaking in bleach solution and then throwing it in the covered dustbin. Wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds or 70% alcohol-based hand sanitizer before you touch anything else. Wipe down that you have carried, like your purse, mobile, or with your home-based disinfectant, which you can prepare from 4 teaspoons of household bleach in 4 cups of water. If you get any symptoms like fever, cough, or difficulty in breathing, report to the nearest government facility or district surveillance officer immediately. I would suggest that you should bath actually to prevent further contamination. Now, some myths and facts. Statement is that with the summers coming up, the coronavirus will be killed. The fact is that corona has been detected in all areas, including areas with hot and humid weather. The best way to protect yourself against COVID-19 is by frequently washing off your hands with soap and water, covering your coughs and sneezes, and avoiding crowded places. The statement is that having a bath with hot water will kill the virus. Fact is that the virus lives inside the body where the temperature is maintained at 37 degrees centigrade and is not affected by hot water outside when what bath that you have. Statement: getting the pneumonia vaccine will protect you against the virus. While vaccine for pneumonia will certainly protect you against other organisms that cause pneumonia, the vaccine for novel coronavirus is under development. So, this is the fact. Statement is spraying alcohol or disinfectant over your body can prevent infection. Spraying with alcohol or sanitizer on clothes and body will not prevent you from getting infection because infection spreads when the virus enters the body through nose or mouth. Cleaning and wiping hands with alcohol is to prevent the germ from entering your system through infected hands when you touch your mouth or you eat food with infected hands. Statement: regularly rinsing the nose with saline will prevent the infection. In fact, no, rinsing nose with saline has in few cases helped in containing common cold, but has no evidence to suggest it is effective against the novel coronavirus infection. Statement is that coronavirus can be passed through chicken and meat. No, there is no such evidence of coronavirus spreading through meat and poultry products. However, it is always advised to have properly cooked food. Statement: a person with coronavirus can recover fully and be no more infectious. 80% of the people have recovered from the disease without needing special treatment. But information on the virus treatment is still being researched, so we must take care of them. Statement: eating raw garlic, sesame seeds will protect you against the virus. Garlic is a healthy food that has other benefits like it prevents cardiac disease and all other lung diseases, but not here. It does not protect you against the coronavirus. The virus can die easily once it is out of the body. It is the statement. We do not know about this particular virus as of now. Similar viruses like SARS and MERS survive from 8 to 24 hours depending on types of surfaces. So, in this case, it can be true that it can also live more. You can get COVID-19 through mosquito bites. No, the coronavirus cannot be spread through the bite of a mosquito. It is spread through droplets spread when an infected person sneezes or coughs. Let's expose the virus. हम अंदर तो कोरोना बाहर. Correct information and behaviors is the way to defeat the infection. Let us play the game to uncover the virus and tackle it through our information. Let's play a recap game. In each square you will find a statement and you have to mention is it true or false. Let's play. Let's hear your answers. You can see the right and wrong right now flashing, and soon it will be disappeared and the questions will be there. Okay, after disappearance of all, I will started asking you questions. Yes, first of all, elderly people are more at risk of catching the infection. True or false? Yes, it is true. Elderly and people with comorbidities can get complications due to infection, so we have to take care of them. Asha to wear a mask at all times. Is it true? No, it is not true. Not necessary unless you are sick or on surveillance work. Spraying alcohol or disinfectant over your body will prevent COVID-19. Right or wrong? No, alcohol rub on hand and surfaces prevents transmission, but not on clothes. State the purpose of your visit when you are on surveillance duty. Yes, being polite is way of supporting an already stressed family. If someone is coughing in public, is it alright to shout and tell the person to go away? No, definitely not. Being stigmatizing can scare people from seeking medical help. Everyone of use needs to. Person with diabetes, hypertension in a high risk group. Yes, it is true. Comorbidity increases risk of infection, delays recovery, and makes the disease more serious. Clean hands with any sanitizer. No, you should, to kill the virus, you should use at least 70% alcohol based sanitizer. Soap and water works equally well. When you remove your mask, do not touch the front. Always remove lace from behind. Yes, it is true. The front of the mask may have been exposed to infected droplets from which you get the virus. Do not touch your face, nose and mouth and eyes. Yes, it is true, absolutely true. Infection can pass from your hand through your nasal or oral passage. Drink warm water to protect from COVID-19. Warm water does not provide protection from COVID-19 infection. But warm water is good, you can consume, but you are not sure that COVID-19 will be cured with that. Wash clothes in 0.1% sodium hypochlorite solution. Yes, it is true. Clothes of infected person must be washed in washing machine or hand, but by adding a disinfectant. Use saline spray to prevent virus infection. No, it is not true. True saline spray does not prevent COVID-19 infection. Eating garlic and sesame keeps you safe from COVID-19 infection. No, it is not true. Garlic is healthy food but does not prevent COVID-19 infection. Shortness of breath with high fever requires immediate hospitalization. Yes, it is right. Correct. Very high fever and shortness of breath is equal to hospitalization. It is a must. Keep a distance of 3 meters from people who are coughing or sneezing. 3 meters is too far. You need to maintain a distance of at least 1 meter. 1 meter is enough. Do not spit in the open. Yes, it is true. Spitting is likely to transmit the virus in the community. So that's all for now. I think you all have given correct answers. Welcome to session 7. How to meet special communication needs in urban areas. Activating support, safe practices and stigma and discrimination. Learning outcome is participants will be able to discuss special activities needed in urban areas. Activating support. Community support should involve key stakeholders identified in the area and trained to give safe inputs and support. Advise community members to volunteer for supporting the community help desk set up by local municipality. Support the task of contributing masks in the community, ensuring that they are given to those who most require. Mask management to be taught while distribution. Community representative to ensure that community cleaning and disinfection drive to be taken up regularly by the municipal corporation. Give information through local political and religious leaders' involvement. Give information out through common essential services like garbage vans, milk supply van, etc. Free distribution of bleach or sodium hypochlorite solution and use of the disinfectant to be planned in the community. Activating support. Identify the high risk groups in the community and help them to isolate themselves to protect them from getting infected. Be in touch with the government services to organize to get the midday meals delivered to the children homes. While I was preparing these slides for you, I have got a mail from CCIM and they have government has come up with one more platform named I Got, which gives training regarding coronavirus. So I will also share that link to you, and I will also present one presentation regarding that launch. Get key influencers who can help you with vigilance and tracking people who may possibly be infected and report it to for referral. Community level cadre to be trained to ensure compliance of protocols during lockdown period. Community level structure to be identified to transfer into quarantine facilities. Recently, our hospital was also asked for the what area we have, how many beds we have, how many doctors we have, so that in case of emergency they can use our hospital. In continuation to community-based surveillance, maintain line list of suspect or confirmed cases and contacts. Inform supervisory medical officer about suspect case and contacts. After confirming symptoms, immediately call the ambulance and ensure transfer of the patient to identified hospital after ensuring on the basic precautions. Create awareness among community about disease prevention, home quarantine, common signs and symptoms, and need for reporting suspect cases by distributing flyers, pamphlets, and also by interpersonal communication. So this COVID warrior have to do in community-based surveillance. Stigma and discrimination. Remember, urban areas are densely populated with limited health staff. You need to develop community support to keep everyone and yourself safe. Resident welfare associations, many of the societies have stopped maids and other helpers from entering. While this is correct, as this will keep people at home, the way of managing this distancing is stigmatizing. So, words like they will bring these diseases to us, the disease will spread because of them, etc., are stigmatizing. Stop it. Work with the local influencers and key decision makers of the area to sensitize people regarding stigma and discrimination. Use the mass media clips to sensitize. Use government orders to show why housing societies should not discriminate against the working class like car cleaners, maids, etc. Thank you for your patient listening. Uh, do share these views with others. I would like to request my teachers and other staff to educate our students and your other friends and relatives regarding COVID-19. जानकारी ही सतर्कता है. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Take very good care of yourself.